I'm Doug Robinson. I'm a businessman. I'm the co-founder of St. Charles Capital, which is Denver's leading corporate finance advisory firm. You may know a couple of my business partners, Bruce Hoyt, who was the vice chair of Denver Public School Board for 8 years, and Wes Brown, the former chair of the Denver Public Library and the Iliff School of Theology. I have also been quite active in the community around my passion, which is promoting opportunity for kids. I co-founded and served as the chairman of Kids Tech, which serves 1,000 kids in Denver and Aurora public schools, teaching them technology skills so they can compete in today's world. I currently serve on the executive board of the Boy Scouts in Denver and on the board of trustees of Colorado Academy. Because of this, I've also become involved with Smart Colorado because of my concern for kids. This is a very important decision that you are making. It deserves much thoughtful consideration. I would urge you to consider the following as you decide. 1, your own Denver City employees report that they are struggling to regulate and enforce the existing number of marijuana facilities. 2, community members from our most vulnerable neighborhoods have expressed concerns about the impact of our current number of facilities. We just heard enough is enough. 3, business people like me are very concerned about the reputation of Denver in the global economy and the impact on our businesses of more facilities. 4, this is a much different drug than I believe most voters thought we were legalizing in 2012. The potencies are all over the place, and we do not have a handle on them. 5, the mayor has asked us to hit the pause button. So I ask you, why would we push forward with additional commercialization until we address the existing concerns and get a much wider conversation with our businesses and citizens about this? Gina.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and most importantly, the opportunity to hear from community on this issue. I'm Gina Carbone. I'm a co-founder of Smart Colorado, and we are a citizen-led organization. We formed after the passage of Amendment 64 out of concern for Colorado's youth and the need to put policies in place that protect kids from the increased availability and commercialization of marijuana in the state. So I am here today representing thousands of parents and community members who are concerned about the effect this is having on our kids. While it may take a decade to truly assess and analyze the full impact of this experiment, we already are seeing troubling signs for our youth that should serve as a wake-up call to policymakers. Recent data shows us that Colorado now has the highest youth marijuana use in the nation. It has increased. We were third up until the results came out in December. We are now first for 12 to 17-year-olds and 18 to 26-year-olds. And when you look at Denver specifically, Region 20, where the highest commercialization is, we have an even higher youth marijuana rate. In fact, of our 8th graders in the last Healthy Kids survey, 22.5% of 14-year-olds in Denver admitted to past month marijuana use. The perception of harm, one of the strongest indicators in youth use for tobacco and alcohol, has dramatically gone down for marijuana in recent years. Marijuana is more prevalent and harder to control in schools. We've heard from principals and school leaders. It's been dubbed, in fact, as the #1 problem by school officials. And finally, today's marijuana is a much harder drug, skyrocketing potencies, products that appeal to kids and are difficult to recognize as marijuana. So the connection between commercialization and marijuana and the adverse effects on our youth cannot be overstated. As we've learned from the Office of the Denver Drug Strategy, access and availability are among the most important factors influencing youth's ability to obtain alcohol and tobacco, and now we're seeing the same is true for marijuana. We all agree there's a marijuana saturation problem in Denver. It's disproportionately impacting our neighborhoods, communities, and kids. And as a result, we need to reduce the marijuana footprint in Denver, not increase it. So in reviewing the Kanish proposal, we offer the following comments. We agree that we need to impose caps on the current marijuana businesses, both medical and recreational. However, we believe this should extend to MIPS facilities. We are concerned that by not capping the MIPS We will encourage that industry to grow even more. And marijuana edibles already comprise half of the marijuana market in Colorado. Additionally, we know that marijuana edibles are the main reason for the increase in emergency room visits, calls to poison control centers, and because of their potency and benign appearance and delayed effect, all of this is true. The market needs to be regulated more tightly and not encouraged to grow more. After all, the state is still in the process of developing the framework for edibles, and some states considering legalization, like Vermont, are in fact prohibiting edibles altogether, in part because of the problems Colorado has experienced. We also disagree with the threshold level for caps that was described in the Kanish plan, which includes the current number of locations plus the pending license pool. This will only increase the number of marijuana businesses in Denver. We believe that the current 225 applications that were rushed in prior to the January 1st deadline should not be processed. The city attorney has said this is well within Colorado state law, and many examples have happened in the past with this. An application is not a deed or a property right. It is simply an application. And because the rules did change for this very fluid industry, we would support paying back these application fees to the applicants. When devising these caps, they must be data-driven, not simply based on the number of applicants in the queue. The city needs to come up with a more precise, well-intentioned plan about the number and the location of marijuana businesses based on the population, the appropriate locations in our community. Denver is disproportionately affected by this industry compared to other cities. This is evident in our neighborhoods, the quality of life, as well as the environmental impacts of marijuana manufacturing, the impact it has on water, pollution, electricity, odor. And again, the goal of council should be to reduce the saturation, not keep the status quo, or even worse yet, add to the problem. Regarding the licenses, we believe that if we're truly addressing the saturation problem, you simply cannot talk about just the caps and let the marijuana licenses continue to be issued. The issuing of marijuana business license must be addressed and reined in, because saturation is not simply a problem of too many facilities. It's a problem of production, of sales, of distribution of marijuana, which are all allowed through licensing. If we allow current medical marijuana businesses to get an additional store license, then we're in fact increasing the availability and access of recreational marijuana. If we're allowing our recreational and medical grow houses to acquire a license for MIPS or recreational or medical, then we are again increasing the commercialization. And the same is true if a MIPS outlet wants to get a cultivation license. We are dumping more marijuana on the market. We're also worried that by issuing additional licenses to current businesses, there could be the great temptation to alter the physical location in order to accommodate more marijuana production, sales, or manufacturing. This could happen in adding second stories, expanding, making larger basements. Let me hit on two main things that Smart Colorado firmly supports, and that is more education. We strongly advocate youth education and prevention, and most importantly, for our Denver kids. There is a misperception that state marijuana dollars are going toward education and our schools, but this is not the case. Although there are dollars going toward general public awareness and educational campaigns for tourists, there is no funding for curriculum in schools. But currently, the state JBC is working on funding for marijuana education, and so there are opportunities for municipalities like Denver to secure some of this funding. Additionally, Denver could use tax revenue and even increase it so that money could be directed toward youth education and prevention. Another source of revenue could come from the licensing fees for marijuana businesses in Denver. We've all heard they're reaching $1 billion industry, and we know that people are willing to pay a lot for these licenses, so perhaps this could be a potential avenue. But over the last year, we know that education and prevention messages have worked for tobacco. They've been successful. Kids are smoking less cigarettes today, and the perception of harm has increased, thanks to education. So we need to do the same thing with marijuana. We know that twice as many kids are using marijuana in the city of Denver than tobacco, according to the last Healthy Kids survey. But why don't we have the money and the education there for marijuana? So finally, I will just say that home grows are a particular area of interest for us as well. We believe that there's an enormous problem for both youth impact and diversion. And we support the conversion of medical marijuana businesses to recreational marijuana businesses. And the last thing I'll say, I'd like to agree with Michael Elliott that the importance of data cannot be overstated. We have a couple of very important things to come out: the Healthy Kids Survey, new production management study from the state, more information from the governor. And we need to wait and look at this data so we can derive our policy decisions based around the data. So again, in summary, we would encourage a slow, methodical, and data-driven approach when it comes to licensing marijuana businesses in the city, and we need to address the saturation by curbing commercialization, not encouraging more. We need to do what's best for Denver's youth and our communities, and not simply what's best for the industry. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.